the body keeps the score. It's not the
Yep.
mind keeps the score, it's the
Yeah.
body. So to take, hypnotic languaging, I also started as a hypnotherapist, taking that kind of languaging and then having this somatic component
Hmm.
where we take it into the body where those emotions are stored and energy is trapped, then it's a much more powerful way of creating shift.
Welcome to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, where we blend rock solid tips with a little bit of magic. I'm Renee Bowen, your host, life and business coach, and professional photographer at your service. We are all about getting creative, diving into your business, and playing with manifestation over here. So, are you ready to get inspired and have some fun? Let's dive in. You guys are in for such a treat today. I have Brad Yates on the show. And if you don't know who Brad is, and if you don't follow his YouTube channel yet, you're going to want to. You are about to get introduced to one of the coolest people. And honestly, like what he does on the daily through his YouTube and his programs is life-changing. I have been tapping for years, but if you don't know what it is, you're about to figure it out. You're about to get to know it. And he's actually going to walk us through a tapping exercise as well. And so by the end of this episode, you're going to feel a lot better. Just emotionally, you're going to feel more regulated. You're going to feel more calm. So yeah, this is a phenomenal episode. So I'm excited to get into it. So Brad is internationally known for his creative and often humorous use of emotional freedom techniques, also known as EFT, also known as tapping. He's a speaker, teacher, and best-selling author and knows that we all have greatness within us. And he's made it his mission to help people reveal it. He combines tapping with positive psychology to help others overcome the fears that hold them back and redefine themselves in a positive light. And when Brad isn't on stage somewhere, you can find him on his YouTube channel, which has grown to over 1,300 videos with over 44 million views and 269,000 subscribers as of the recording of this podcast episode. I'm going to put all of Brad's information in the show notes, obviously, so you can go and find him and learn from him. And yeah, this is a really powerful episode. I'm very excited to share it with y'all because I've been tapping for years. I kind of speak about this a little bit in the episode, how being a massage therapist and really, really understanding this whole mind-body connection for years now. I love tapping. I think that it is such an effective way, but also, like I said, it's kind of like a fast track, right? And, now that I've been doing it for years myself, I'll combine some of my own hypnosis tracks and suggestions with the tapping as well. But if you want guidance in your, suggestions and how to do tapping, a great place to start is obviously Brad's YouTube. And he has some free 5-day programs that I'm also going to link for you guys in the show notes because you are probably going to get addicted to this just like I did. All right, let's get to it. Brad, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to introduce this to my audience because I'm a big fan of your YouTube. I mean, like you've got a massive following, and I would be surprised if a lot of my listeners didn't already know who you are. But like, if you guys don't, you are in for such a treat because Brad is like the master at EFT. We're going to be talking about that in a second. So, welcome to the show, Brad. First of all,
Thank you, Renee. I'm very happy to be here.
So, okay, EFT. For people who don't know what it is, right? Emotional freedom techniques, but it kind of looks weird, right? Like, I've done it at parties and people are like, what are you doing? Walk us through just like the basics of what it is and why it's so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So EFT, short for emotional freedom techniques, and a lot of us just call it tapping because we are quite literally tapping with our fingertips on these different places on our face and torso. And I know that if you're new to it, it looks very strange. But there's a very good reason why we do it. So it's originally based on acupuncture. So for thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've said there's a flow of energy through the body running along these pathways that are called meridians. And when the energy is flowing naturally, we experience our natural state of health and well-being, physically and emotionally. And when this energy gets disrupted or stuck in some way, then we don't feel so good. We don't think as clearly. We don't make the best choices. There's all kinds of unfortunate consequences. So in traditional Chinese medicine, the doctor would stick needles in these key points to stimulate that healthy flow of energy. And now we're just getting rid of the needles and just using our fingertips to stimulate those same points. We have a growing body of scientific evidence showing that it's a profound way of downregulating stress. So when you consider that most, if not all, of the issues that bother us physically and emotionally are either caused by or worsened by stress, then you can see that having a very simple technique for calming down the stress response can be so beneficial in so many areas.
Yes. Okay. So as someone who has dealt with just like anxiety, basically my entire life, didn't actually know it was a thing until, didn't put a name on it until my 20s, right? Like I just thought, oh, I have a nervous stomach or whatever. So as someone who has dealt with and still does a lot of anxiety underlying or, just a lot of thoughts, right? Like, so a lot of my people, and I know that you guys are listening, deal with the same kind of thing. Lots of overactive minds that
Yes.
comes along with being a creative. So I know that this is going to be really powerful for you guys, but I kind of want to touch real quick before we move into some other stuff. Talk to me a little bit about the meridians, because a lot of people listening, I've been doing acupuncture since my early 20s. So I understand a lot of that, but talk to us a little bit about what that is, like the meridians and why that's important. And do you use all the meridians? Because there's a lot of them, like, kind of walk us a little bit through
Yeah.
that.
So these are these energy pathways, just like your veins and arteries that blood flows through. These are energy pathways, and there has been more modern research showing that there are pathways in the fascia that we can actually find that match up with these meridians that have been used in acupuncture for thousands of years. So there are different key points in traditional acupuncture. There are meridians that run through the body.
Yeah.
That they're points all over the body. Dr. Roger Callahan, who was the psychologist who first developed the tapping process, his was thought field therapy, which was later transferred into emotional freedom technique by Gary Craig. But Callahan found these different eight major points, eight major meridians that he was tapping on. And in his original version, he would do a diagnosis on the person to figure out, okay, given your issue, we should tap, let's see, this point, and then this point, and then this point. And he would come up with different algorithms depending on the issue. And Gary was one of his first students, and Gary had his degree in engineering and said, okay, thinking like an engineer, how do we simplify this? And rather than spending a lot of time to figure out which points to use in which sequence, what if we tapped all 8 points? Because that would actually be quicker than trying to figure out which points to use, and found he was getting the same great results. So that more simplified version was called emotional freedom technique. Now, there may be times where you may just feel compelled to just tap one point. It's not that every time you have to tap every point. It's sort of a matter of let's cover all the bases because it's so simple to do it that way.
Okay, that does make sense. It's interesting because I do find myself, and I feel like maybe this is common, that after some time, you just sort of like intuitively know what needs to happen,
And
Yeah.
the different points, the different meridians in traditional acupuncture are associated with different organs of the body, which are associated with different emotions. So, for instance, right here at the beginning of your eyebrows, associated with sadness, under the eye, associated with fear, side of the eye, anger. So there may be times that you may feel compelled to do it like that. There are times where I am feeling something and I may just feel compelled to tap a certain point. It's like, okay, well, that's not actually the point that's associated traditionally with that emotion, but I just go with it instinctively because there's so much crossover.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the thing that really tripped me up in the beginning of all this, right? Because when I started, this whole tapping journey, I love, learning about the unconscious mind. I'm certified in hypnosis and all kinds of different things that, will help us reprogram, rewire things. But I'm also a massage therapist. Like I went to a very hippy dippy massage therapy school after I got my degree in psychology. And so I'm very much about the whole in the body situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, so and that's what I love about tapping. It really, it gets us in the body. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why things can happen so much quicker when you're tapping, because you are integrating everything together, which is really powerful. right?
Yeah, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who is one of the premier experts on trauma, his book is called "The Body Keeps the Score." It's not the
Yep.
mind keeps the score; it's the
Yeah.
body. So to take, hypnotic languaging, I also started as a hypnotherapist, taking that kind of languaging and then having this somatic component
Hmm.
where we take it into the body where those emotions are stored and energy is trapped, then it's a much more powerful way of creating shift.
So it tripped me up. And I get it now, but I want you to kind of walk us through it because this might have some of a similar effect on some people, right? Is the naming of the anxiety, right? Like, so those of us with anxiety, especially, and we have like this fear of fear, right? And
Mhm.
so part of tapping is like you're naming what you're trying to get through. But you're not just naming it and seeing it, you're like actually sort of like repeating that. And it's like, at first I was like, whoa, 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 I do
Right.
not want to integrate that in my body.
Right.
Right. And it was like all my alarm bells went off. Like, I don't know if it was just my own programming or like the fact that, I kind of came from that very old school. I mean, not maybe not old school, but like Louise L. Hay, like, what you believe you're going to integrate in your body. And I guess I had some stuff surrounding that. So at first I was like, whoa, this feels counterproductive. Like, I don't want to actually make this happen. I don't want to manifest this.
Right.
so,
Right.
so talk to us a little bit about that because, and we'll go through a process in a minute. You'll walk us through something so you guys can actually see and hear what I'm talking about. But why do you do that?
So in general, with EFT, we start off with a setup statement and we'll say, even though I feel this anxiety, or even though I feel this anger, or whatever. And when I'm introducing this to someone for the first time, sometimes people say, whoa, 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 wait a minute. No, 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 you can't talk about the negative. Power of positive thinking. Always focus on the positive. Just focus on the positive. Well, if you're feeling what you're feeling is not positive, then saying the positive isn't going to help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but this is not about ruminating. It's like, well, if I keep repeating the problem, I'm just brilliant. No, because we're cleaning. The tapping is a cleaning process. So if you were to imagine, let's say you spill coffee on your kitchen counter, and you grab a rag or a sponge, and you're wiping it up. You wouldn't say, okay, but I can't say coffee while I'm doing it, otherwise the coffee will still be there. Yeah, you can say coffee, and then when I'm also working with a group, and if someone doesn't have anxiety and say, well, if I say anxiety now, I'm going to be taking it on. It's like, no, because you're still wiping the counter, you're tapping, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be cleaning it. So it's not like if I'm wiping the counter and it's a coffee spill and I say orange juice, it's like, oh, now I'm going to put orange juice there. It's like, no, you're cleaning it up, whatever you're saying. Now we can also say positive statements, but it's very effective to focus on what it is because, again, if I've spilled coffee on my countertop, I want to focus on where the spill is.
Mm-hmm.
So by saying coffee, 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 I'm focusing on, okay, here's where the coffee is spilled on the countertop, as opposed to I'm just kind of randomly doing this and I might just find myself wandering over to another part of the kitchen and haven't completely cleaned up where the coffee was spilled. So that's why we want to focus on it. So we keep our attention on where it is. And then as we're tapping and we clear out the energetic charge on that, then I can be saying coffee or anxiety or anger. And it's like, yeah, I'm not feeling it now
It's neutral.
because I've cleared that. So when people talk about trigger words, things that upset them, okay, you can choose not to say that. That's okay. But wouldn't it be even better if you just cleared the charge around that so that when that word comes up, it's like, yeah, I may not prefer that word. This is not about, being totally okay with people saying offensive things. No, in an ideal world, no one wants to say offensive things. But it's about getting to a place of, okay, my well-being is not dependent upon 8 billion people all thinking right.
Yes, exactly. And there's a lot of empowerment too, in sitting with it and noticing it and the
Yeah.
awareness of it, because what you resist will persist, right?
Yes,
So, and
absolutely.
those of us with anxiety, though, I just wanted to kind of highlight that because it is our natural go-to, any kind of anxiety or OCD, especially our natural tendency is to run away from it because we don't
Yeah.
like it, but it gets bigger. And
Yeah.
that's the one thing you don't want to do. And that took me I don't know, upwards of 25 years to figure out through all of these different things is that no, if we just sort of like look at it and we just notice it and we get to that neutral space, getting to that place of like taking that charge away is so empowering and important in the next steps, which is moving through it.
Right. And tapping creates the safety for that because understand when we have anxiety, and I struggle with anxiety myself, uh, we want to, yeah, absolutely. We want to run away and we can't bear to be with it. And because it feels so uncomfortable. So the tapping calms down that stress response where I can start to say, oh, okay, let me take a look at this. And
Yeah.
I love the Walt Whitman quote, be curious, not judgmental. I have it up on my wall here to always remember that. So that when we get that, rather than judging ourselves for the anxiety, rather than judging ourselves for the fear or whatever else it might be, it's just, let me just get curious. What am I afraid of? Where did this fear come from? Who told me to be afraid? What was it a misunderstanding? Did I make some Pavlovian association that isn't warranted? And now I can actually look at it. So the tapping gives me that permission to calm down and go, all right, let me look at it. What am I really afraid of here? Oh, is that what it is? It's like
Yeah.
there's the shadow, the giant shadow, and then you turn and look, it's like, oh, it's a mouse, but there's a light right behind the mouse. So it's creating this giant shadow. And now I
Mm-hmm.
can say, oh, okay, now I can totally change my relationship to this issue.
Yes, that's so huge. And it gives it like, I don't know, it's such a fast track, I really feel like, to doing that because it does. It calms, like, there's the scientific aspect, to it, like we talked about, calming down the nervous system. But it's really interesting how it opens up your intuition, which I thought, I mean, like, even in times of stress, even in those moments of like, whew, like I am not feeling open. I'm feeling very constricted. The tapping allows you to open up so much faster, especially just like anything else. The more you do it, the easier I feel like you fall into it. So I'm sure you've seen lots and lots of success stories about all of this throughout the years and all that you do. I mean, first of all, you've got a lot of videos, and we'll get to one in a second. Like we'll kind of talk about maybe working through
Mhm.
a tapping exercise, but you have a lot of videos that are even just like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, like 10. So speak to the time, because that's a big pain point for people. It's like, oh, I don't have time. Like that's kind of cool about this is that you can just do it in the moment.
If you're a creative and or a photographer looking to expand your business and push yourself further, I highly recommend joining Renee's Elevate group.
Elevate has been more than what I ever expected or anticipated. It's been life-changing, life-altering.
Seriously, it is the best investment that you can make in your business if you're trying to grow your business. Not only is Renee amazing, but everyone in the Elevate Mastermind group is amazing as well.
I'm not new to the photography world, but I am new to seniors. And if anybody knows about high school seniors, it's definitely Renee. Renee knows everything about seniors. All the trends, what they're into, what they don't like, so that you can attract them, as well as working on yourself and your business.
Renee has just been super insightful on helping kind of get through some mental blocks and figuring out why I have them, why we have them, and how to move past that to help my business grow and to help balance personal life and work life together. Thanks so much, Renee, for all you do, and I can't wait to work with you again this next round.
Any tapping that you do is going to be causing some of this down regulation. So if you only have a moment to tap, and you could be tapping throughout your day, at different times without saying anything, the process of the tapping is going to be down regulating your stress. And most of us are carrying more stress than we know. We have at least ambient levels of stress. Most of us are carrying a little device that constantly tells us, here's something to be stressed out about. Thank you, Internet. And so to imagine, constantly eating and having stuff on your teeth and never brushing your teeth. That's kind of where we're at with our energy for the most part. So that's why I recommend tapping on a daily basis, if at least just for a couple of minutes a day. The more you can do, the better. Just like with exercise, if you can do more, you're going to get more benefit, but it's very cumulative. And, sometimes when we tap, the effect is immediate and profound, especially if we're working on a particular issue that's really bothering us, and we can go, "Oh, I definitely feel some relief there." Sometimes it may not be obvious, and maybe we may be tapping and go, "Yeah, I don't feel a whole lot different." But we have biological markers that have been measured with scientific research showing cortisol levels, our stress hormone, downregulated. fMRI studies showing the brain activity changing. So even though you may not be consciously aware of the change, we know that it's happening. So it's like taking vitamins. Nobody takes a vitamin and says, "Wow, I feel so energized right now." But you know that a cumulative effect of taking care of your body and putting good stuff into you is beneficial over time. Same with tapping, so that even if you're not noticing it right away. So, that with the videos, it was kind of a quick way to do something. When I'm working with a client or doing a
Yeah.
live workshop, tapping around may go 20, 30 minutes if as the ideas are coming. And it's funny because people, and I always have a timer going when I'm shooting videos for YouTube, because like I try to stop at the 5 minute mark. Generally don't make it, only because the ideas are coming through. It's like the thought of, "Oh, but I got to say this. I got to say this. Okay, now I need to wrap it up." And early on, if the video was over 5 minutes, I would get people complaining, "Could you make your videos shorter?" It's like, you'll spend an hour watching some dumb TV show, and you can't take 5 minutes to do some cleansing on your energies. And at the same
Yep.
time, it's not to shame anybody. I totally get it. I know that if I go on YouTube, I'll look at how long a video is. Do I have time for that? And especially if I'm new to tapping and I'm not sure it's going to be beneficial, it's like, I don't know that I can invest that time. So I have a whole bunch of videos. They're like 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
But ideally, if we have more time, like I was just down visiting my mom on Mother's Day, and 2.5 hour drive, and I'll listen to a bunch of recordings of tagging videos the entire drive, just because I
Mm.
know when I spend that much time clearing stuff out, it just feels so good. And I know that I'm much more open to things, including intuition. The extent to which we don't have what we say we want tends to be the extent to which we're resisting it. Not because we're bad or stupid, but because we have old programming about why we couldn't or shouldn't have it, including our intuition, because parts of us might say, if I was really open to my intuition, if I was open, especially as creatives, every creative act is a form of channeling. We are the conduit. We are the prism through which the light comes in and comes out as a rainbow. And the more clear we are, the more spectacular that process is, and the more open we are. When we close that off, it doesn't come out so well. And there are parts of us that are afraid of being that open, that are afraid of being that clear of a channel, that brilliant. Because if I'm more brilliant, I'm going to have to be more seen,
Yep.
more open to criticism, more open to, it's like, that's fine for these other people, but I don't want to deal with the judgment. I want to play small, and totally understandable. So as we clear the fear, it's like, oh, I can handle this. And, oh, there's an idea. Oh, you know what? If I did this, I could. And this stuff starts coming. That's why I love my work. So as I'm tapping, I'm much more open to ideas coming through.
You just hit the nail on the head too, for like, I think everybody who's listening, that's a really big part of it for so many people, is that deep-seated like programming of, fear of being seen, because it opens you up to judgment and to whatever. And so that's what usually keeps people from being as amazing as they're meant to be, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, okay. So, all right. Walk us through something that would help with that. There's a lot of creatives who feel that way, who are afraid to show up, and also afraid to ask for money for, like, that's the other thing too, is like, oh, I'm a creative and I sort of fall into this amazing business because I'm good at it and it's kind of like easy for me. And then, oh, I can make my own money being an entrepreneur. Oh, wait, nope. Now I have to actually like do the business part, take money. Why do I have such money issues? Like all of that stuff comes up too, right? Like, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of that underlying. So if there's something maybe that we can kind of show people how to walk through that. And then after that, we'll talk about what they should do and how they should work with you, because this stuff is powerful, you guys.
So I'll first just show the basics of EFT, just to show you where the points are.
Yeah.
And then we'll have some fun with it in a more creative way. But so the very basics of EFT is you take whatever is bothering you. So let's say I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling stressed. I would rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. In intensity, it's like, oh, wow, it's like an 8. I'm feeling pretty nervous. And I check with how I feel that in my body. So, oh, it's my heart's really pounding, or I have a knot in my stomach, or there's this tightness in my shoulders. So I'm aware of what I'm going through. And then I'm going to take the fingertips of my index and middle finger and gently tap on the side of the opposite hand. And you can tap with either hand, whatever the dominant hand is. And as we go through the points, I'll be tapping down one side, but you can tap with both hands at the same time. You can switch back and forth. So we start with the setup statement, which is, even though I have this issue, I choose to love and accept myself. So whether the issue is I feel distress, I feel nervous, my shoulders are tight, I'm really angry at Bob, whatever it is that's bothering us. So we say, even though I have this issue, I choose to love and accept myself. Because we want to stay at a level of acceptance, because as you were saying earlier, Renee, what we resist persists. So it's like, I'm not going to resist. I'm just going to accept, even though I have this, I choose to still love and accept myself. So we'll say that 3 times, and it just sort of creates an opening for the process. Then we'll tap about 5 to 10 times on each of these points, and we'll repeat the statement. So even though I feel, or all this stress, side of the eye, all this stress, right under the middle of the eye, all this stress, right under the nose, all this stress, right under the lower lip, all the stress. Now, right here where your collarbones just about come together, there's a little bit of a U shape at the base of your throat. And you can tap with all your fingertips, or even make a fist and tap that whole area, all this stress. Next point is about 4 inches below your armpit. It's right about bra strap level, and I'm sure even the guys can figure out what that is. All this stress. Find the top of your head. So just with all of your fingertips tapping around the crown of your head, all this stress. You take a deep breath. And then you check in again and rate it again on a scale of 0 to 10. Now, sometimes it'll go from an 8 to a 0 like that. Sometimes it'll go from an 8 to a 7.75. It's like, okay, but if it's been an 8 for a while, 7.75 is going to feel like some relief. And it's often like peeling the layers of the onion. So I might be tapping through and go, oh, I know what this is about. And I might be, as I go through different points, and it might shift. It's like, oh, if I'm tapping on all this anger at Bob, all this anger at Bob, all this, oh, you know what? It's not even Bob. It's that what Bob did reminded me of what Cindy did to me in the 3rd grade. And I'm still, all this anger at Cindy, all this, and I can clear up decades of stuff that has been weighing me down, and totally open myself up to even more good, even more intuition, even more creativity, because I'm now letting go of things that have been weighing me down for ages. So, as we tap through, if we can get to a 0, great. But even if we just get down a little bit, that gives us more freedom to think, to move, to take actions.
Awesome.
So that's basic EFT. Now we're gonna have some fun with it.
Okay.
So what I'd like everyone to do is go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and hold it, and let it go. Now, just breathing comfortably with your eyes closed, go ahead and just allow yourself to be present. As present as possible so as to receive maximum benefit from this process. And just following your breath through your body, just allow yourself to be aware of how you're feeling physically and emotionally. Maybe rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 would be magnificent, awesome. Don't judge yourself harshly if the number is lower than you'd like it to be. Just allow yourself to be aware of where it is and ask yourself, what would it take to be at a 10? And maybe in terms of your life overall, or your career, your creativity, what would be a 10 in terms of your creative career, Or you could focus on your financial abundance, your health. Give yourself permission to focus on whatever feels important to you at the moment. So life at a 10 would be that ultimate success. And imagine yourself being at a 10 and ask yourself, how safe does this feel? And just allow yourself to be aware of what your body might feel. Because in general, as I said earlier, the extent to which we don't have what we say we want tends to be the extent to which we're resisting it. And we tend to resist it because it doesn't feel safe. Or it may be that you feel you don't deserve it, and allow yourself to be aware of any feelings about that. Notice what you feel in your body, but also notice any thoughts, feelings, beliefs, memories that might come up as to why you couldn't or shouldn't have what you want, including any fears about being seen and criticized and judged. Take a deep breath, open your eyes, and just tap where I tap and repeat back what I say. Even though I might be resisting greater success,
Even though I might be resisting greater success,
I choose to love and accept myself.
I choose to love and accept myself.
Even though I might be resisting greater success,
Even though I might be resisting greater success,
I choose to love and honor myself.
I choose to love and honor myself.
Even though I might be resisting greater success,
Even though I might be resisting greater success,
it might be creative success,
it might be creative success,
it might be financial success,
it might be financial success,
could be health or relationships.
it might be health or relationships.
There might be some areas of my life
There might be some areas of my life
that could potentially be better.
that could potentially be better.
And I wonder what's getting in the way.
And I wonder what's getting in the way.
And even though I might be resisting greater success,
And even though I might be resisting greater success,
I choose to deeply and completely
I choose to deeply and completely
love, honor, and accept myself,
love, honor, and accept myself.
and maybe anyone else who might contribute to these issues,
And maybe anyone else who might contribute to these issues,
because I choose to be that free.
because I choose to be that free.
This potential resistance to greater success,
This potential resistance to greater success,
all this resistance to things being better.
all this resistance to things being better.
And part of me might say,
And part of me might say,
I don't have any resistance to that.
I don't have any resistance to that.
I absolutely want things to be better.
I absolutely want things to be better.
And anyone watching me
And anyone watching me
would see that every day
would see that every day
I'm doing all that I possibly can to make things better.
I'm doing all that I possibly can to make things better.
And maybe not.
And maybe not.
And it's not because I'm bad or stupid.
And it's not because I'm bad or stupid.
And it's not that I'm weak or lazy.
And it's not that I'm weak or lazy.
It's just that I have some resistance.
It's just that I have some resistance.
I have some old programming
I have some old programming
about why I couldn't or shouldn't be more successful.
about why I couldn't or shouldn't be more successful.
Maybe part of me says,
Maybe part of me says,
if I were more successful with my creativity,
if I were more successful with my creativity,
I'd be more seen.
I'd be more seen.
And the more people who see me,
And the more people who see me,
the more people who can judge me.
the more people who can judge me.
And part of me says I need to resist that.
And part of me says I need to resist that.
All this need to avoid being judged.
All this need to avoid being judged.
And I love and appreciate those parts of me
And I love and appreciate those parts of me
that are trying to protect me in that way.
that are trying to protect me in that way.
But that's what they call a fool's errand.
But that's what they call a fool's errand.
People are going to judge me no matter what.
People are going to judge me no matter what.
So I might as well do what I love.
So I might as well do what I love.
I might as well do as much good as I can do.
I might as well do as much good as I can do.
And it's not going to be right for everybody.
And it's not going to be right for everybody.
But there are a lot of people out there
But there are a lot of people out there
who can benefit from my gifts and talents.
who can benefit from my gifts and talents.
And I'm tired of depriving them
And I'm tired of depriving them
for fear of the people that aren't my audience.
for fear of the people who aren't my audience.
Clearing these fears.
Clearing these fears.
Clearing them at a cellular level.
Clearing them at a cellular level.
And all the way back through my past.
And all the way back through my past.
Back through all those times in my life.
Back through all those times in my life.
Where I somehow got the message.
Where I somehow got the message.
That it wasn't safe to be seen.
That it wasn't safe to be seen.
And that I had to feel bad about judgment.
And that I had to feel bad about judgment.
Clearing all the fears that hold me back.
Clearing all the fears that hold me back.
Including all these fears about money.
Including all these fears about money.
Because another part of me might say.
Because another part of me might say.
If I really had full access to my creativity.
If I really had full access to my creativity.
I might be more financially successful.
I might be more financially successful.
And I can't let that happen.
I can't let that happen.
Money is the root of all evil.
Money is the root of all evil.
Or at least it's inconvenient.
Or at least it's inconvenient.
And I am a creative.
And I am a creative.
I am a right-brained person.
I am a right-brained person.
And money is left-brain stuff.
Money is left-brain stuff.
I just shouldn't have to deal with that.
I just shouldn't have to deal with that.
And I'm clearing this fear.
And I'm clearing this fear.
Clearing all these money fears.
Clearing all these money fears.
Because when I let money stop me.
Because when I let money stop me.
I withhold my gifts and talents.
I withhold my gifts and talents.
I deprive the world of my gifts.
I deprive the world of my gifts.
And I deprive myself of that creativity.
And I deprive myself of that creativity.
And I'm done with that.
And I'm done with that.
I can handle money.
I can handle money.
It's okay for me to allow money.
It's okay for me to allow money.
It's even okay for me to ask for money.
It's even okay for me to ask for money.
My gifts and talents are worthy of compensation.
My gifts and talents are worthy of compensation.
I'm clearing all these old things that caused me resistance.
I'm clearing all these old things that caused me resistance.
Setting myself free to experience greater success.
Setting myself free to experience greater success.
In body, mind, and spirit.
In body, mind, and spirit.
And take a deep breath. Close your eyes, go inside, and again, thinking about life at a 10 in terms of whatever you were thinking of, and check in again and see on that feeling of how safe it might feel. Hopefully it might even feel better to allow that to show up. And also, again, peeling the layers of the onion, notice any thoughts or memories that might have come up. It's like, oh, that's why I'm not allowed to do this. And especially for creatives, all these old ideas of, starving artists and, that's not worthy of money. And it's like, there are artists out there that are making bank.
Yeah. Yeah, you can find proof of that.
Yes. You know what? Van Gogh had no money when he died. Pablo Picasso, on the other hand, he was doing just fine. So it's not that to be a great artist, you have to struggle or suffer. That's just a belief.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot. There's just some really fun, some visuals popping up for me that I hadn't thought about in about, 45 years. So that was interesting. Yeah. And that's what's so cool about it too, is that even though I definitely was drawn to all of those triggers when I first started this journey, and I've done a lot of work on that. But what's so interesting is, like you said, peeling back the onion, there's a lot of stuff that you realize, oh, that's still kind of popping up. All right. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And just looking at it with like non-judgment and, get curious about that. That's what's so cool about it. I wonder what else is there. That's really, really, really fun. Okay. So
I've been tapping for 20 some odd years, and I was just tapping on this drive yesterday, and a thought hit me. It's like, oh, I can't believe I've been holding on to this idea, this limiting thought that I've had
Yeah.
All right, let's let that one go.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's like, wow, okay, I thought I had gone there, but
Yeah.
that's what's so fun about it. And also, you use a lot of humor and lightness. And I hope you guys could, really get a sense of that through that exercise. Like when you watch his videos, you do such a great job of that. Why do you think that makes such a big difference in
Well,
the effectiveness?
it's been said laughter is the best medicine. And to me, it's the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. Because if we just go, even though I have all this stress, trauma, misery, it's like, why do I want to go through that? So if we can lighten it up, it just makes the process more palatable, but it can also be very disarming and kind of knock us out of that, some of those really tough paths that we go down. It's like, okay, this allows me to shift something and create an opening. And it's like, all right, now I'm able to move into another place where it just felt so hard before, and it just creates this ease.
Yes, I love that. And anything that can help us let it be easy is what I'm about. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. I know that you guys listening are going to get a ton from that. So, okay, Brad's got like 1 million YouTube videos. So you definitely should go check him out if you haven't. But you also
no false
walk
advertising.
people...
It's only just over 1,000, but 1,200, 1,400. There's a fair few.
Yeah. So definitely go start there if you haven't, heard about this before, so you can get introduced to all that. But people who want more, like who are like, okay, sign me up. I feel amazing after that. Like, what would that next step be for somebody? Like, what do you offer people with respect to that?
Yeah, I have a number of programs, but there are 2 different 5-day programs on my website that are free. One is called Tap Into Your Best Self.
Okay.
So I always have Michelangelo's David everywhere because Michelangelo said the statue is already there, perfect inside the marble. All I have to do is chip away what doesn't belong to reveal the masterpiece inside. And to me, that's a perfect analogy for what we're doing with tapping. We're just clearing away what doesn't belong to reveal that best version of ourselves. So 5 days of tapping on different things like self-forgiveness, self-love. And then there's another one called Success Beyond Belief. So it's 5 days of tapping to clear that resistance to being more successful, just like what we were tapping on earlier. And yeah, Perfect. You get those at tapwithbrad.com.
Perfect. All right. I will put all of that in the show notes for sure. And you guys get to tap in because it is life-changing. So thank you so much for sharing all of this with us today. This has been amazing. Well, I don't know about you, but I feel exponentially better. And I always do after I do any kind of tapping. But I don't know, there's something really amazing about Brad's energy as well. Like, I'm a really big believer in that. So again, all of his links and his YouTube and his programs that he mentioned, that's all going to be down below in the show notes for you, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. All of that information is down below. So please make sure you go and engage with him and his content. What he does and how much he gives away is just kind of amazing. So I hope you had as much of a positive experience from that as I did, and that it helps you learn something new on how to rewire some of that old stuff that you just don't need to hold on to anymore. So as always, if you found this episode helpful, make sure you let me know. Tag me on Instagram if you post about it. Tag Brad. I'm going to have all of his links below for you as well. It's always so nice to know that you guys resonated with the content that I'm sharing and with the guests that I have on. So let me know, tag me so I can repost it as well. As always, a review and rating, so always appreciated as well. So you can do that really easily by going to ratethispodcast.com/Renee Bowen, and I'll love you forever. So have a great rest of your week, guys. I hope that it is beautiful and that you let go of a lot. Love you. Bye.